we're going to try to be here. Let's see if we can get this to work in some way, shape, or form. Okay, I think we're good. Alrighty. Today's going to be interesting. So what we're going to end up doing, first we're going to make a latte, because I haven't even had a latte yet. So we got to get going on that. The other thing is I got a Windows laptop. So, oh joy. Because for some reason with the Mac and the Creality Print, when I do my 3D prints, I was getting varying degrees of quality. So it was like, okay, I need to find out what's going on. And lo and behold, it seems like I get better quality with the laptop, Windows laptop, than I do with the Mac, with Creality Print. Go figure on that. And so we got the Windows laptop. And then I had the idea, I was like, you know what I could end up doing, since I have the Windows laptop, I got a 4K EMET, whatever, webcam. So we got that. I had one of those laying around. So plug that in, try to do some live stream off of the Windows laptop, which it's been a minute since I've done that. And yeah, interesting. Going back to Windows after Mac after all this time. So we will see how this goes. And I should have started off the morning with a latte. So that's probably why everything's all messed up. That's what I'm going to blame it on. So we will get our coffee going here. I did get some beans from Vietnam. Yeah, close enough. From Vietnam. But I wanted to wait and try that out a little bit later. So those are special small bag of beans. So I'm just going to go with what I know right now. And we will get on it. So anyway, we got that going on. The trip to Vietnam was pretty good. We enjoyed it. Might have to clean this thing up. I mean, actually, I cleaned it up prior. Yeah, it's got some beans stuck in there. And that's the ghost of the apartment. No. No, we don't have any ghosts. We just have the windows open, and I think it was this room here. Something, one of the doors anyway. So, put that back. We're good to go. So that's what we got going on. We got some good old coffee goodness going. Espresso goodness. Tap that in. Get rid of all the clumps. Put our little screen, and we will preheat our grip head, so that way we don't get any variations. So try to make the good cut. So a good espresso, got to be able to dial it in. And once we make this, and then we'll jump into the 3D print stuff. So basically what happens is I get better results using a Windows laptop with Creality Print than I do using the Mac. It's just, for some reason, it's a half step behind. The Windows offers some better reliability in regards to stability of the program. Creality just needs to step up their game when it comes to Mac. So until then, I'm going to be using the Windows laptop just for that. But I figured since, which is that, 32, I'm going to do a little bit more. I've been gone for so long. About 4 more seconds. That'll work. So I'll add 4 seconds to that, and I think we should be good. But yeah, so with the Windows laptop and Creality Print, it's running better. And since I'm a hardcore Mac user, a little bit of a learning curve to go back to the Windows, which is what it is. And then I thought, well, if I'm going to do that, then what I'll end up doing is I will live stream some of the larger prints that I do, because I can do that, right? So I'm testing that out, and that's why this series of tests is going on. A little frustrating at times, but it's not too bad. Let me change this. Change that to 140. Yeah, 150. I'll just heat that up. So the idea was to have the windows with a Creality Print, and then when I do larger prints like the helmet, like I did the helmet from Doomslayer Eternal, so I've got that helmet that we ended up making, and still got to process that. Of course, living in Korea makes things a little bit different as far as getting stuff to get stuff done. So that's kind of an interesting thing. So the normal stuff that people find, like Bondo and things that are easy to get in the United States, a little bit harder to get here in Korea. So one, because of the language barrier. Two, because some things aren't allowed in Korea, as they are in the United States. So again, I have to try to find some different stuff like that. So Bondo, for example, I just found out I can order Bondo from Amazon and have it shipped here, but if I order it here in Korea, it's like twice the price. So, and then there's some things that I cannot order on Amazon to come to Korea because of, whatever rules and regulations, or, hey, we don't want to import that or export this or whatever. So that's been a little bit challenging. I think I'm just going to preheat this with the automated, and then I'll go back and I'm going to go ahead and put the froth and everything and redo that because I can do that better. So let us begin. Trying to get the foamy goodness. So we'll get that going. That'll be good. I'm going to need a little bit more foam, but I think this will work. It's not Vietnamese coffee, as I will say. We returned from Vietnam a couple days ago, and holy crow, their coffee is on point. We got addicted to coconut coffee, specifically the iced coconut coffee. So my job is, now that I do great lattes with this, I need to figure out and get smart on the iced coconut coffee. So we got that. So, and let's just take a look outside and see what we got, because it is nice weather. So here it is in Korea. Kind of see what we got going on. Temperature is good. Everything's going well. Things are, I run hot, so I don't like hot and humid weather. So Vietnam was like, ugh. At least Hanoi was. And then, of course, Sapa was nice. That was nice. So we got that going on. So anyway, yeah, this is what we got going on. So we have our laptop, Windows, which we're good there. And I think we just added on, we got on to all the right networks, so we're good there. And we can upgrade our why is it not working? See, this is what I'm talking about. So, no device of this type is available at present, so, good Lord. Wireless mouse would be nice. Let's see, so, add a printer, we got a device, we've got that. It is connected. It shows up on the screen for the device, so we're good to go there, but in the preparation, that says offline. Printer settings, we're good there. Seriously, really? No. Before I went on vacation, this was all working. But it's like, no, I don't want to do that. Seriously. It is so weird because how do you remove device? Let's try that. So now we have one device. Let's go back to prepare. Let's go back to device list. There's no device of this type. Seriously? Really? It's here. Yeah, I need to get a mouse pad. Okay, I think we got it. Okay, now it's working. Complaining that it had all the problems of my Mac, and now I'm having problems on the Windows. Let's just update all of this. So update the values of all the profiles. So we did that. Now there's a login and register. Oh, seriously. I think it's that. Of course, you got the phone. You're the phone. So I can't look on my phone to find the password to get onto the... we'll do that another day. It's kind of weird because I'm streaming there, but I wanted to be able to stream from here. So yeah, when I do big projects, but now I'm trying to. Okay, now I think we're doing good. Let me see if we can change this. Okay, so there that is. So we have our Windows, we're on the Mac, or we're on our Windows machine, we're on our K2 Plus, which is here, and then that's the webcam that I get hooked up to do the live streaming of that. So what I wanted to end up doing, immediate updates. I just updated this. So what is that? Config, no, I don't want to do that. These are all good. So why is this putting me on this window here? And we just shut it all off, okay. Back to the beginning. And we're back, we've got everything there, we're online, we're good to go. And what we ended up doing is, this is the spool holder for the external spool holder. But it doesn't work with a 3 kilogram spool. So what I ended up doing is making a spool holder that was longer, and all I ended up doing is making a cylinder in Tinkercad. I put some lips on it. Can't remember the distance in between here, but it's enough for this spool here. And then I did some cross bracing, kind of like that, because the inside of this is pretty durable. So I did this with 4 walls, 40% infill, and then had a big old nut on the back there. So this thing has been hanging on here. This 3 kilo spool has been hanging on here since last night. So I'm thinking that should work. But we're going to actually try to run this through. And probably what I should do is, because now this has got to go into there. So right up there, like a 2-in-1, that's what I would like to have. So that way it'd be easier to switch from the CFS to the side spool holder. But as it is right now, I don't even have one. Well, maybe I do. Oh, I've got this. I've got this I made a while back. So that might work. So I could go from here to there, and then I could hook a small piece of tubing from here to go into the printer. And then, let me see if I can get you to go into the printer. That's what this one does. And so let's try that. So I'll do this like that, and then we'll have to, and then we'll need another piece to go to the printer. So we'll have that 2-in-1. So we'll see how this goes. So with that, probably about what, 6 inches, 8 inches? I think that's what I'll need. So the magic. Let's see if we got, we do have some tubing. That's a kit. You know what I could do? It's probably just that. That would make things a hell of a lot easier. And I'm going to get another one of these stands that I have. It's like a kitchen island, and I've got one of them, and it's really sturdy. It's really nice. This will work. And I want to use a razor blade. So now we'll stick this end in there. I'll put that end in there. Now we'll see if this works. I don't know. It'll be an interesting. It'll be an interesting. We'll just see how this goes. So basically, I just ended up putting a 2-in-1, so that way I have the spool holder if I do that, or the CFS, and we'll see how that works. So with that, let's change it to this, because I don't know if that's going to work. Because of the angle of where this is at for the spool. And we'll just have to give it a shot and see what happens. So we will run this up from the bottom. No, it's not working. Oh, there it goes. Yeah, I don't know. It's going to be interesting. There's all of those curves in there. Man, it makes it really tight. And I think we're there. So now, let's see where we're going here. Go back to our screen. Let's go here. We'll go to last page. We'll go to that benchy. We don't want to enable the CFS. Printing with current spool filament, no calibration. So hopefully this will work. And the filament, let's see, that, yeah. We're not using CFS. Calibration, I might do that. And we'll see if this draws and works. So hopefully this 2-in-1 will work. And with this, I'm wondering if there's going to be too much friction on this for that to draw on. I'm not sure. Yeah, that's my camera that was hooked up to the laptop. So we'll see how this goes. It's got to do a little purging. And let's see if it works. So it's heating up the nozzle to 180. But it is the PLA, but I'm wondering how it's gonna. So I think this will be the first, maybe the second time that I'll have printed with the side spool holder. But, you know, you're talking about, I mean, look at the lean on that thing. And I'm wondering if this being over here, because I just bent that over, because when it's over here, it's actually scraping on the spool, so we don't want that. So I just bent it up, and we'll see if this thing, of course, it's going to do the calibration and everything. So we'll see what this does. But, so if this 3 kilo spool holder doesn't work because of that angle of which this kind of goes, the filament goes off to the side and up into here, I don't know, I might have to just make something different or just order one. Maybe I'll order one, and that way I can set it down here. So we'll see how that goes. But this is going to do the bed leveling and everything. So that's going to take a minute. And we printed this guy out, which turned out really, really nice. You can see that. So yeah, some nice lines on that. Benchy came out great. And that's with the CFS. But when I do larger prints, like those helmets, I'm going to be using, I want to get more into this stuff because I'm going to do helmets and cosplay armor, at least one set of cosplay armor. So we'll do that. And we got to find something. Hopefully this will work. So we'll see how that goes. Speaking of helmets, this is the Doomslayer helmet. That is the project. And we just got back from vacation of Vietnam. So we're going to be doing some sanding and stuff like that. So playing around with the sanding and trying to figure out which is going to be good, how to minimize the processing and still have a good print. This was printed at 0.2 millimeters, which is kind of standard. But the guys from Galactic Armory said they print their stuff at 0.16, which really brings down the post-processing time because you have those smaller layer heights. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, testing out this 3 kilogram spool holder that I made off of Tinkercad, but I'm just not sure about the angle of this because this is gonna, if you can see there, it's fine when it's on this side, but when it's drawing from over here, I'm wondering if that's gonna be too much tension. So that's why we're running the test, just doing a little bit of a check. And then, so kind of get a view of the, see the rinky-dink? Watch this. And boom, there is the webcam in 4K that I'll have hooked up, which is a lot nicer than the onboard camera. So I figure when I do my print, what I'll end up doing is live streaming for the larger prints. So when I do stuff like that helmet, it should be good to go. Now, if you forgive me, I need to drink some latte. And this is also because I'm using the phone. But when I do the live stream, I've got the Windows laptop here. I got a laptop stand coming in, and again, I want to get another one of these benches, these islands, because they're super sturdy, and get 2 of them. That way I have a computer, room for prints and, dryers, whatever it is, spools of filament. And then if I have another one of these right next to it, that will give me enough room to have a little computer station or a second printer. We'll see. I'm crossing my fingers. I've had some companies contact me saying that they would like me to review some of their equipment. One is a 3D printer company. I had another one, 3D printer company, a while back. Haven't heard nothing. They sent me an email saying, hey, would you be interested in reviewing, do X amount of videos and review our product and, on your channel, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, yeah, sure, I'd love to do it. Here's my address, the whole 9 yards. And then it's like, don't hear from them. And so I don't know if they put out like just blanket emails to YouTubers. And, I've, 4 or 6 months later, I'm shooting back emails every couple of months. Hey, I'm just wondering, going to be going on vacation soon. So if you're going to send me the printer, let me know so I can track and keep an eye out on it and, or change plans or whatever. But it's weird because so far, and they're smaller companies. So maybe that has something to do with it. I don't know. But we will see. And the other question I had is on Creality Print. When you when you have the Creality Print going, and of course I got it hooked up and everything, but how do you set the external spool holder filament? So that's the question I had right there. So let me show you what I'm talking about. So yeah, we've got our K2 Plus, it's starting off. But with the K2 Plus, you have your CFS, which has your filament rolls, but if you use the external one, how do you set that? Because it just says external. So all of these I can go through and I can change and set and whatever, but for the external one, I just don't, I'm not sure how that works. Because like I said, you would think you would be able to click on the external one and be able to set what it is, but no. So we will see what happens. I'm not even sure. Okay, it's extruding. Oh, we got black. Okay, so we're good. At least it's extruding at a fast pace. I'll do a little test. Do the calibration grid, which so far, that looks good. So if you know how to set the external spool holder and what filament you want, let me know, because I have no idea how to do that. I don't know if y'all can see that, but that looks pretty good. Of course, it's black. So far, that looks really nice. And I guess it's pulling enough. Oh, that was good. So now we're back, and it's going to look at this because we did the calibration. But I wonder if we go here, go to filament. Oh, okay, so I can set it here. So it's set to Hyper PLA basic. Okay. But why wouldn't you be able to set that on the program? That's what I don't get. Or maybe you can, and I just don't know how. So checking all the lines. And you can see those turn out pretty good. So now it's going to go through, and then it'll do another calibration strip here, and then it'll go and run and do the benchy that we got. So, and again, the windows. And with the Windows version, it seems to be more stable. I'm not get the flickering like I do on my Mac with Creality Print. So hopefully that's a sign of good things. Oh, okay, so go under device. Ah, here it is, folks. That's where I can set it. So if you go to the device tab, you can set and edit your external spool. Okay, got it. Okay, now I feel smarter. Now I feel smarter, and I can set them there as well. So it's weird because you can set it here. You can do all of these and set your CFS spools to whatever you want them to be. But if you go to prepare, I can go to prepare and up here, and I can set the CFS rolls to whatever I want, but up here on the external one, you cannot. You have to go to that device tab, and then you have to go down and edit that way. So I don't know if that's a normal thing or not. You think that would be something Creality would probably want to have on your spool holder? But so far, it is pulling that 3 kilo spool, a Polymaker matte black PLA. I was just kind of worried because with the spool holder, that nozzle is off to the side here, and I bent this up because it was down, it was dragging on the spool itself. So, I don't know, maybe I can have like an arm come out and hit it about right in the middle. Instead of having it off to the side, just have it like right up here. I can make something in Tinkercad and boom, be good to go. So, but the good thing is, the wheel is turning. What was that Tina Turner song? Big wheels keep on turning. Whatever, I don't sing. But this spool holder, that's pretty thick. And basically what I ended up doing is just getting like 130, I think it was, millimeters. Ended up putting a little lip on it. I hollowed it out, but then I put a cross section in here to go the length. And then on this end, there's like a nut and bolt on here. So, as a matter of fact, I had a test version, and that's kind of the chunky, but I got this off of Tinkercad, and the bottom screws were messed up. So whoever made it screwed up the bottom part of it, and you can actually see it in Tinkercad. It wasn't until after I printed this out that this wouldn't go all the way on. So I had to slice this to get rid of that jacked up portion there. So it was about 3/4 of the way, and then that's what I was able to use there. So I'm going to try to clean that up on the model, and maybe I'll throw that onto the Creality Print. And there we can see that turned out nice for the most part. Again, this is just using the stock Hyper PLA settings, not for Polymaker, but for Creality Hyper PLA. So we'll see how this goes. So we'll run a print, the Benchy with the Hyper PLA. Yeah, it has the Hyper PLA settings, and then we'll go through and we'll change this, and we will, of course you can't change that there. Isn't that weird? I think it's maybe because it's printing. So I can, yeah, I think it's because it's printing. So anyway, we'll see how that goes. But yeah, once I get these ducks in a row, and then I'm planning on, if this prints out well, then I'm going to be using 3 kilo spools to print out helmets and the cosplay armor that I want to do, and we'll see how that goes. So, and apparently this 2-in-1 is working out well enough. So we'll see, because we got to try the CFS. And basically I just wanted to, I think this is one of the first prints I did, not the first prints, but one of the earlier prints that I did is for this 2-in-1. And I don't know, we'll see how it goes. be getting around, and there she goes. So in about 22 minutes, we'll see how this looks. And this is 0.2 layer height. So it seems like the first layers are doing well. So we get kind of a sky view there. So far it looks good. We'll see though. Go back to the sitting session. Sorry for the low quality stream. I don't have the professional lights and everything, but it is what it is. So, but yeah, I just wanted to kind of get on here and see what's happening, see if I can get this whole Windows thing, because normally I'm a Mac person, have been for a long time. But with that said, the Apple 17, the iPhone 17, I don't think there's enough there to upgrade. I'm not going to upgrade. I've got a 13 Pro Max, so that's what we're filming on now. And yeah, I don't have any problems with that. So I really just don't see the need to upgrade. Take a little bit. I got so much dark shadow on this side. So yeah, I just don't see the big whoop-de-doo with the Apple iPhone 17 or any of those, especially being aluminum. The aluminum frame on those, scratches galore. It's going to be scratch fest, and people have already been talking about that. I just don't see any reason to upgrade, because that's an expensive phone to get. You know, if you upgrade it every year, good lord, that'd be crazy. So let's see what else we got. We should have about remaining time is about 19 minutes. Some of the other things we're going to do on the channel is, besides doing the helmet, which came out really good, is we'll continue processing that. And now that I'm back, and the helmet came out great. So again, on the K2 Plus, and trying wood filler to see how this works. You know, we did some of the stuff on the bottom, and we got a lot of sanding to do. Just trying out different stuff. This is wood filler, and then I'm going to try to get some Bondo, because people have used Bondo to kind of help out with the layer lines, and you can see like these layer lines here are just like insanely layered. So a lot of processing is going to be done here, but this is going to be, I mean, I'm 6'2", and so this will put this about 6'3", 6'4". Not a lot of people are going to be looking at the top. But I'll smooth this out as best I can, and then we'll process this. We'll do some 2-in-1 paint filler on this, and this will turn out pretty good, I think. Let me show you. This came out nice. So, and it's sized perfectly. Luke, I am your father. So, yeah, it'll be about right here. Get some padding in here. and do the face shield and all that stuff, I think this will turn out really good. I'm also going to end up putting some LEDs in here. If I can get my head out of this thing, it is like the perfect fit. So I was pretty happy. I was kind of nervous because, and you can see the video where I go over this after I printed it out, and I didn't know whether it was going to fit or not. But yeah, it turned out well. So I'm looking at doing some LEDs in the front here on these two vents here. And then I'm thinking about doing LEDs here. Matter of fact, I already drilled out the holes on the sides here to drill in. And then on this top, did I do the top? Yeah, I did. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I've got 6 holes in the top vent area here. So I'm thinking about putting LEDs in there as well. So yeah, the front, the side vent here, and on the top, that's where we're looking at putting LEDs. I think this should turn out pretty good. So again, I'm just being the first helmet, the first cosplay that I've ever done. And of course, through on vacation and regular retired stuff that I do. I really need to just buckle down and do more work on this stuff. So, but the other thing that I'm working on is getting the sanding box that Uncle Jesse had on his channel for, you know, with the gloves and all that stuff. Which is here. I just need to cut out the holes and everything. I've got the top. But the problem is we had an accident and the corner is rusted. So I gotta go buy another corner. So that'll be something else. But once I get that, then I can start using my palm sander. And then, of course, I'll probably need, I'll need to get a shop vac, so that way I can collect all the dust of the sanding and everything, and I've got the pads, and I've got all kinds of, I'm ready to go. I've got everything else. But living in an apartment, we bought this apartment, yeah, I have to be really careful with the dirt and stuff, because my wife's got some allergies, and so trying to keep everything clean, well ventilated and everything is really something that I have to do. So, but, and I also have an AC infinity fan, inline fan, so I've got that. So trying to incorporate all this stuff, get all this stuff set in the workshop here, spare bedroom is workshop. Get everything set, and then the workflow should be a lot easier. So, yeah. Let's take a look and see what the print looks like so far on the default setting. For that polymaker. Not too bad. Maybe run a temperature test. See some gaps in there. We could probably work on some settings there. So maybe a little bit different with the polymaker stuff. Maybe we'll have to do the temperature tower, kind of dial that stuff in. And the reason I chose polymaker is because of a couple of reasons. One, it comes in 3 kilo spools, which is nice. And I have access to them. I buy them through Amazon and they get delivered here. Is that normal? Okay, I think we're level now. So I can get 3 kilos on a spool, do all the printing, and if you do a helmet, you know, you're talking 24, 36 hours, however many hours it takes to do your prints, which are gonna take a little longer because I'm going to follow the advice of Galactic Armory. Galactic Armory says, hey, they use a 0.16 layer height and it's a lot less post-processing. So the prints will be longer, have a lot of filaments. That's my thinking behind the 3 kilo spools. So we'll see how that goes. But other than that, I think I'll get another one of these benches, which is actually, like I said, a kitchen island. And for those of you who haven't seen it, there it is. Again, the K2 Plus. And if I get another one, so I'll slide that one down, I have another one, and it'll come down to about right here. So that'll have a lot of workspace, and I'll kind of isolate that. And if I have the other one over here, then I can work and do whatever, process parts and stuff like that. So, yeah. So this is a nice, this is actually from China, and it's hardwood. This is real wood. I think that, yeah, all of these, this is real wood, that's real wood. I mean, the drawers, I think they're like a particle board, but the main parts of this are actually wood. So it is super sturdy, and I like that. Let's see how we're looking. And I had another benchy that I did in black. Of course, this is matte black, but I did some other benchies with the Creality Hyper PLA. But I think I'll do some calibrations on this, and then once that is, I do the calibrations, should be good to go. So far, it looks pretty good. Yeah, not bad. How much time we got left on this bad boy? We got about 10 minutes left. 54% done. But it'll be nice, I think, getting another one of these kitchen islands. Have it, you know, like I was talking about. I think that'd be really nice because then you got your printer, got the spools, got the dryer, you've got this little bit of space, but then if I had another one, that could end up where I could, you know, pull off supports, have the laptop and all that stuff with a little laptop stand. I got that coming in. So that should actually be in today. Hopefully today. So pick that up, and then yeah, that's what we got going on. So we don't have any other trips planned. We're thinking about going to the Philippines in January or February, but I don't know. Like I was talking to the wife, we were talking about getting that SSRV courtesy visa, the retirement visa for the Philippines, to have it just in case. For some strange reason, you know, better to have it and not need it than need it, not have it type of thing. But she said she wasn't feeling it. It just didn't seem real. So, and to me, it doesn't either. So we're both kind of like, And then after, as hot as it was in Hanoi, in Vietnam, holy crow. Makes me double think about the Philippines. But another reason for retiring in the Philippines and having that retirement visa is that when we get old, I'm going to be 59 next month, but when we get really old and we need like assisted living care and stuff like that, in the United States, the prices for that stuff is insane. In Korea, it's less, but it's still expensive. And in the Philippines, it is way less expensive, and it almost seems like better care. So, you know, my wife worked with a nonprofit organization in the U.S. Doing elder care. There was a lot of Filipinos that worked and did assisted living care and stuff like that. And greatest people. I mean, they really have a heart for caring for people, for the most part. And boom, the prices in the Philippines is way less expensive, so it's more doable. And also with the SRRB courtesy visa, if something happens here in Korea and we have to leave, then that would end up that would give us a place to go. Now you might say, well, why don't you just go back to the States? I don't want to go back to the States, honestly. I just, you know, I'm glad I'm an American citizen. I'm glad I'm happy of my rights. I support the rights of the Constitution. Life, liberty, pursuit of happiness, all that stuff. You know, just as long as you don't hurt other people. But I'm just not feeling it. Yeah, it is what it is. But that could change. You know, maybe I'll go back to the States one day. We'll see what happens. But for now, we're going to be in Korea. We bought this apartment, so you know, there's that 4-bedroom, 2-bath, and then we got all my toys and my hobby stuff. So really looking at staying here for quite a while, and we'll see how that goes. So far the spool holder looks like it's doing okay, and it looks like the angle of where the filament goes into that tube, even though it's off to the side, it isn't causing any problems. So that's good. I mean, it's turning. So that's all it needs to do. I'll show you what we're talking about. So there's and again, there's a little bit of a difference, you know, between that spool, the stock spool holder and the one that I made. This one's more beefed up, but it's made in PLA. And it's 40% infill, and it seems to be holding up. I had this spool on here since yesterday, and it's still hanging on, which I don't think it should break because of the cross beams. I also printed this at 0.16 layer height, but it seems to be doing okay, even with this off to the side. But I could always make something to have it like more in the center here. You know, make something in Tinkercad, but so far, good to go. So I don't know if I'll continue using this. I'll definitely leave this as it is, because you can use both spools now. Regular spool, a 1 kilo spool and a 3 kilo. But I might get a stand and have that, the one that has like the rollers and stuff like that. I think Creality has one, so I might end up getting that. Let's take a check and see what we got here. Okay, not bad. That's pretty good. I mean, that looks good enough for cosplay. Of course, with the matte black, you're going to get the layer lines and things like that. But here is an example of another one. This is Creality Hyper PLA. And you can see that turned out pretty good. Tiny bit of stringing, but now I did another one. This is all Creality Hyper PLA in the blue. But good results. And then there's the other one in white. And then we printed out this one earlier today on the test. And that came out pretty good. So yeah, the poly makers turned out pretty good. I think that would be totally acceptable for helmets and stuff like that, cosplay, armor parts, so on and so forth. Not that the CFS doesn't work. I've had a couple of clogs where I've had to clean it up. I did have the buffer assembly was defective, and so Creality sent me a new one, so that was kind of nice. It's still under warranty, so yeah. But yeah, this is turning out pretty good. You can see those lines are pretty good. With the Polymaker using the Hyper PLA settings. So it's kind of like Ronco, set it and forget it. And we're done. No stringing, except for that little tiny bit on the top. And that ended up being, 21 minutes, 11 grams. We are good to go. And boom, there it is. Oh, that turned out nice, ladies and gentlemen. On the top. So nice, nice, nice. That is a good looking benchy. And compared to the Creality Hyper PLA, really the only difference is I had a little bit of stringing on this one, but it was minimal as well. But you still get a little bit of layering. You see the difference in the lines on the bow, on the side there compared to that looks good. But then we got some of those lines on this one, on that side, a little bit. I don't know. That looks good enough for cosplay work, because you're going to be spraying some filler on that and doing some painting. I think we're good to go. I don't even know if I'd change any of the settings for that Polymaker. I'll just leave it on Creality Hyper PLA. And I think we would be good on that. That came out nice. Tiny bit of stringing, tiny, very tiny. I think like one. Maybe two, three. Two tiny strings, 2 or 3 tiny strings. Which, I don't know, it'd be hard to tell. It's kind of like right in there. But the lines are good, the layers are good. That's one thing about black, as it turns out, it is really, really nice when you look at, let's see if we can get it. I mean, those lines are clean. Look at those layers. That is super, super nice. Let's see if we can look at it. Switch it this way. There we go. Yeah, look at that. Besides the fact that I need to clean my fingernails and trim them. But that is nice, nice. There's that little bit of stringing there. But everything else is on point. So yeah, I'm calling that good. I am calling that good. Done and done. So, we did a few things this morning. Started off with our latte. We did that. Testing out the 3 kilo spool holder that I made last night or yesterday, and had the spool hanging on that last night. Remember, there's only 2 screws on the back of that bracket for the stock 1 kilo spool holder that is included with the Creality. So basically what I ended up doing is just kind of copy this a little bit, just made it wider, and then I found a nut and bolt and sized it up to about the size of the opening in that bracket, and that was good to go. So yeah, I'm happy about that. Good stuff. Good. So now we can print out some bigger stuff with our 3 kilo spool holder and spool, and yeah, nice. With that being said, there is, and I got to give this up to Therafis. Let me go back to device. Let me go back. I'm going to edit my PLA so that way on that Creality Hyper PLA, boom, and that's going to be black. And the pressure advance is 0.04. Hyper PLA. And the choices are wood, Ender PLA Plus, Ender, HP Ultra PLA, Hyper LW PLA, Hyper Marble, Hyper PLA, Hyper Stardust. So I guess it's going to be Creality Hyper PLA setting for that Polymaker PLA, matte PLA on that 3 kilo spool. So we've got that set, so we're good there. And that is updated. But now, I found out, did I put it on here? I don't think I did. We might have to go on the computer, on the other computer, the Mac. And a guy sent me, this, if you're watching this, while I was on vacation in Vietnam, he sent me an email and said, hey, check this out. Borderlands has a helmet. And I was like, ooh, helmet? Awesome. So, yeah. When I was telling you that Creality Print has problems with Mac, I'm not kidding. So, Creality Print, there it is, and it gets stuck, and you have to force quit. Yeah, force quit. That's kind of like a normal thing. So I'm just going to keep hitting report, and then I can restart it. And it just always has that problem. But what I want to end up doing, and like I said, I had quality control issues when I would use Creality Print on my Mac. So that's why I ended up having to get the laptop. And there was the side spool holder, Borderlands Ripper Mask. Yeah. Bro Therapist sent me that, and it was like, hey, check this out. And boom. Does that thing look awesome or what? Let me see if I can move this stuff around. Yeah, that is the Borderlands. And you can find this on Printables. And I already resized this for the distance and everything. So we should be good to go. And then I made a little part here that will go on the back here, because if you look, it already has connectors to to where you can put, like, it's either 1-inch or half-inch straps. But that little connector, I'm going to put it up onto the top here, and we'll just kind of use a soldering iron and put that there for a 3/4 inch strap, because that's what you end up seeing is a 3/4 strap. But yeah, this thing looks awesome. And if we go over here to objects, we could change this to, well, all of this is going to be black, but it's not using the number 4. It's going to be using the extension. And we're going to be using a layer height of 0.16 and slice, so 0.16. Arachne, if we go down to strength, we're going to be doing 3 wall loops. We're going to do 7% infill. Camera, don't fall off. 7% infill, which I think should be good enough. Gyroid. And if we get down to speed, nothing really changed there. Supports. Tree, default, 25%. Top Z distance is 0.265 is what I end up using there. Rectilinear, bottom Z is 0.2. But all of our stuff is going to be on the build plate only. So we got that. Let me see what else. I think we're good to go. And brim. Let's just do, yeah, outer brim only. Let's just throw that and see what happens. So with this should work out good. And this is going to be a pretty decent print. So if we slice this baby up, you watch that slice, and don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. I'm going to get my coffee cup. Hold on. So yeah, it's going to take a minute. And then what we'll end up doing is we'll throw this on. And I need to find a way to connect my Mac with my Windows. So, yeah, we're almost done here. And that's what it's going to look like. So I'll have some supports. Holy crow. That's some big support stuff there. That's going to take 13 hours and 59, so 14 hours. But what I want to look at here is the top. And we see the layer lines, how kind of ugly those layer lines are. So what we're going to end up doing is going here. We'll hit that. And then we're going to go up top. And we'll go over here to where it says vertical layer lines. And we pretty much already, I just want to clean that up and get as much as possible. That'll be at 0.08. So that'll really minimize the amount of layer lines that we have throughout this, but it will add more time. But with the post-processing, it will really minimize the amount of work that we have to do. So I'm going to bring this down to where it's about right. And we're going to be putting filler on this, so I think we'll just call it good about right there. And so now if we slice this plate up, of course this is going to take a minute, but that is really going to minimize the amount of work that we're going to have to do post-processing, which could be the difference between spending hours of doing sanding and all of that manual labor to get it really nice looking. And maybe this will have to print out in you know, because our initial time at 0.16 was 14 hours. And now with this adjustment in the layer height, variable layer height, we'll see how long this is going to take. And I know there's some people that are like, well, if you print at 0.2 and then, you know, you just use filler and this and that, and boy, it doesn't matter, you save filament, save time. It doesn't really matter that much to me, because if I do less post-processing, I don't care if this is going to be a couple hours more than doing it at 0.16, which is what I'm going to print this out at. So now let's take a look and see what we have. So I'll get rid of that, pull that off to the side. So now this is going to be 16 hours. So it was 14. So we're going to add basically a couple of hours. And the cost, filament is going to be 391 grams. And at the cost that I bought, it's going to be $7.82 for this ripper mask. Yeah, baby, that's what I'm talking about. A $7.82 ripper mask. You know, throw in some processing time, you know, let's just call it $9, you know, remove some supports, and then spray on some 2-in-1 filler. Support material is about 27% of this. We could probably minimize some of the supports on there, because there is a big amount of supports on the top of that. But you know what? I think I'm just going to run with this. So can we send this? And how do I dictate what it's going to, how it's going to, what it's going to use? Preview. So we got that. And again, with the side spool holder, how do you dictate? I don't get it. Don't get it. What are the odds? So here's what I'm talking about. So over here, let's get rid of this. So over here on this top section here, we have, boom, if we hit that, everything is updated. So we have our external spool holder, we got our CFS with our 3 colors, all of that is updated. So we can come here and I can adjust the settings to whatever I want, okay? But I can't do that with the external spool holder on here. So I got to go here to the device tab, and then I go to details, and then after the details I can go to here, and then here I can update the information. But my question is, how do we dictate what the print is going to be on this here? Because we're using the side spool holder. And over on this side, this is where you have your printer, you have your objects, and you can click here and pick the spools, but you can't pick the side spool holder. I'm not understanding. Of course, that's nothing crazy. So, yeah. What are the odds? What are the odds that I don't get something? Imagine that. So anyway, yeah, that's what we're going to end up doing. We're going to end up printing the ripper mask out. And we're looking at 2,500 and some odd layers. Again, like 780 is what we're going to be doing for the cost on that thing. And I wonder if I save this, I really need to find out how I can transfer files from the Mac, or I can just send it. But if I send it, it's going to print off the CFS. Send to print. Ah, here it is. Imagine this, what are the odds? So let me go back and show you. So up here in this corner here, you can set the settings for the filaments in your CFS, but you can't set it here for your external spool holder, which should be a thing. To do that, to change this, you have to actually go to your device tab. Then you go here, and then you can actually set your filament there for the side spool holder. So once we got that, if we go down here, and since the plate is already sliced, and we go send print, and now what we end up seeing here is you have some options. So over here you have your print calibration that you can turn on or off. We have our device that's idle, filament device, CFS or spool holder. And then when you click here on the spool holder, it says printing will be done using spool holder color, which is down here, which in my opinion, that option should also be up here, but it's not. So we're gonna have to play around with this a little bit. The wife's back. Hey, sweetie.
Hi.
How's lunch?
Good.
It's good?
Yeah.
Good, good.
Stop by, got some egg.
Yeah. Yeah, that was the wife. So probably want to do a little bit of cleaning up of that build plate area, so we're going to do that. Going to get off the other bits from the test pieces that we ended up having for the test calibration, so we'll do that. And get that off, maybe. There we go. So you got that little piece there. Again, I'm pleased with the K2 Plus. And oops, we got that little piece on there from our benchy. So we got that. And now been doing some glue stick stuff. And what I've found with the glue stick is that I don't have any problems when I throw on glue stick at all. Now, I know there's going to be people who are going to say, oh, you need to wash your bed and blah, blah, blah. I know. But with the glue stick, I can do multiple prints and I don't have any problems. And whereas I have had some problems when doing prints after cleaning. So I've just relegated myself to doing the glue stick thing. But worst case scenario, so we got this one here. I could always just throw on this one. Because I just so happen to have another one. So this is an aftermarket one that I ended up getting. And this one has got the carbon fiber look on one side. And then it's got the gold on the other. So for a 16-hour print, I think what I'll end up doing, I'm going to buck the system. I think I'm just going to use this. But I will clean it a little bit. So we'll just throw on some IPA on there. Thankful to the resin printer that we have. And we'll just kind of clean this up a little bit. Hopefully you don't tip over. Oh, I know what I could do. That. There. So we'll just let that soak in a little bit. This does a pretty decent job of cleaning everything up. Of course, the Dawn dishwashing soap works well. But this works really good too. And it's been a minute. Some of this is hard to cut off. The IPA does a real good job of getting all the stuff off. Normally I would do like the Dawn dishwashing soap stuff, but I'm a little lazy. But either way it gets clean, so. And we don't need to run a calibration because we already did that. So I think we will be good to go. I think we're good on that. See what we'll end up doing. Alrighty, so now everything's good to go, and we're not going to do calibration. We're going to send this Ripper helmet off to the printer. Like I said, normally I would get questionable results using my Mac. 16 hours, 9 minutes, 8 seconds. Should I just hit print? It's 16 hours. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So about 4 in the morning, it should be good. And that's at 100%, so screw it, let's do it. The ripper is off. And we'll see what happens. We shall see. I'm doing decent with keeping my desk clean. So we have dun dun. So yeah, we're starting up there. So with that, we're just going to go ahead and we'll leave you all to the rest of your day. It's Saturday here in Korea, and we're going to go ahead and let this thing print. And we'll do a live stream. We'll put the camera on here, so that way we get some video on this. Again, that's going to be the good Lord, like so. And then we'll live stream the ripper. And again, that's going to take a little time with the Polymaker PLA. And so we'll see how that goes. And I think I can even look at the device on here. So I desperately need to get a mouse pad. Yep. Or maybe. Oh, yeah, there it is. So it's connected up. So now it's going to go ahead and start its thing. And in 16 hours, we will see if we have a ripper mask printed out at 0.16 layer height to minimize post-processing. And yeah, so stand by on the next video. Peace. So nice. So nice.